And I rise like the day. I rise up, I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up, I like the waves.
Hello, Hersey Basketball. This is Marina Scott bringing you Hersey Yoga. Glad to be working with you for the next couple of weeks to help you develop not only flexibility, but strength through yoga. We're going to work in a very alignment-based practice, and we'll work on finding the energy centers in your body that will translate into the energy of your practice. So take a look at your posture first. Most of us live in an anterior tilt. We have that little arch in the back. We're going to knit our ribs in, pull your tailbone down, lift your hip points up to help minimize that tilt. We're going to start on your back. You can use the length of the mat. I'm just going sideways to help show you. Take a block under your hips and allow yourself to create some space then between the block and the floor. If you don't have a block, anything like a book, anything with height can help you get a little bit of that space. Place your hands on your hip points. Draw your hip points toward one another. Pull your belly button to your spine and pull your pelvic floor to your rib cage. Lift your hips off the ground. The arch in your back will be minimized here. Take your hands to the ground and then lower your hips down. Take the block and wedge it between your left thigh and your torso. Push into your right heel and lift and lower your hips. You'll notice right away your right glute is firing and your left block is activating your psoas muscle, which wraps around from the back of your spine over the top of your hip. Your glute and that muscle together will give you great firing here. Take the block away, lift your leg to the sky, flex your foot, take your right hand up, and use your left hand to pull your fingers toward your face. It also helps with your wrist and your forearm stretch. Then bring your foot to the ground and lower your hips. Take the block to your right thigh, wedge it against your right torso, press your left foot into the ground, and lift and lower your hips. Feel your left glute activate. You want to do this a few more times than you think you can. Oftentimes we begin practice after sitting all day, and this reset here with your glutes really helps. Take your right leg straight up, curl your toes toward your face, flex your foot, take your left hand up, and stretch your fingers back toward you, opening your wrist and your forearm. Press the heel of your hand up. And bring your foot to the ground, lower your hips. Take your feet wider and let both knees fall to the left. You're on the outside and inside edge of your feet. Keep it active. You don't want your knees all the way on the floor. Reach your right arm overhead. Use your left hand to push your right hip down. Feel length. Then take your left hand to your right wrist, pull it toward the back of your mat. Feel stretch all the way across your right hip here. Lift your knees back to center and let them fall to the right. Again, stay active on your feet and take your right hand, push your left hip back toward your knee. Reach your left arm overhead. Feel the long stretch. Then use your right hand to pull your left wrist toward the back of your mat. Keep your feet active on the ground and bring your knees back up. Cup the back of your head with your hands. Bring your elbows up. Lift your shoulders off the ground. Extend your left leg. Keep your knees touching. Then bring it down and inhale, lower. Exhale, lift your shoulders, extend your right leg, inhale down and lower. Exhale, shoulder up, left leg extends, foot back to the floor, Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift your shoulder. Extend your right leg. Foot to the floor. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Extend your left leg. Take your right hand across your body to your left rib cage. Push down and float your right heel off the ground. You'll feel a lot of energy moving through your core. Continue to breathe. Then put your foot down, both feet down. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift your shoulders up. Extend your right leg. Take your left hand across your right ribs. Push your ribs in and down. Knit them in. Lift your heel off the ground. Release and lower. Exhale up. Extend your left leg. Right arm goes across. Lift your heel. Pull everything in strong. Even lift your tailbone a little bit. Then everything back to the floor with your inhale. Exhale, lift. Extend your right leg. Left arm comes across to your right rib cage. Lift your shoulders a little higher. Lift your heel off the ground. And release. We're going to do some simple crunches. Knee to elbow, tapping your toes down. Your exhale, bring your knees and your elbows up. Feel your belly button draw back toward your spine. Feel the work in your core. Feel the weight of your head and your hands lengthening your neck. Hold the last one. Release. Bring your knees to your chest. Rock a little side to side, maybe forward and back. And then come on all fours for a table position. Stack your shoulders over your wrists and take your left leg back behind you. Foot is still on the ground. Lift your heel up to glute height. Then bend your knee. Externally rotate your knee to the side, then back behind your other knee. Exhale on the external rotation. Inhale on the internal rotation. Move your hips, but keep your pelvis stable. Watch if you're developing any arch in your back. Then bend your knee and pulse your heel up toward the ceiling. Again, minimize that arch. Take your right leg back, push your foot into the ground, then lift your heel up to glute height. Bend your knee, externally rotate your knee to the side, internally behind your other knee. Open and close with your breath, externally and internally rotating. Notice your knee doesn't have to come that high. Keep your pelvis stable. And with your knee bent, your heel pressing toward the ceiling with tiny pulses. Keep that core strong and tight. Minimize the arch. Bring your knees to the ground and come down to your forearms. Cup your hands to your shoulders, then place your forearms on the ground. You can either place your hands down or clasp your hands with your pinkies on the ground. Lift your hips. You can bend your knees. A lot of shoulder and core strength here. Then lift your left leg. Find the external and internal rotation here. Easier to get your knee almost directly behind your other knee. Watch how far you open. Keep your pelvis stable. You're just moving your hips. Place your left leg down, right leg up. Knee to the side, heel to glute. Internally rotate the knee behind the other knee. Open and close. Keep pressing into your forearms, pulling your rib cage towards your hips. Bring that foot down. Push your hips up a little higher. And come down to your knees. Take your knees wide on the edges of the mat. Sink your hips back toward your heels. Your big toes are touching behind you. Stretch your arms out long in front of you. You can keep your arms soft or active. You can roll your forehead side to side and just feel length stretch into your side body. Place to regroup, reset. And this marks the end of our integration or our reset part of our practice. We're going to develop a little breath to movement here next. So push up into a down dog, push the ground away with your hands, lift your hips up high. Look forward and either step or bend your knees and hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, Tadasana. Take your arms in front of you, reach them up. Side body length, press your feet into the mat. Exhale, forward fold, bend your knees. Press your fingers down, step your right leg back. Bring your knee to the ground, the top of your foot down. Inhale, kneeling crescent. Pull your hips back over your back knee, your shoulders over your hips. Exhale, high plank, step your legs back. Then drop to your knees all the way to your belly with control. Baby Cobra, press the top of your feet down, slide your thumbs back. Your hands are off the ground, your heart is lifting. Exhale, down dog. Inhale. And exhale. Step your right foot forward, back knee down, top of your foot down. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, hands to the mat, step forward this time. We'll do it a little faster, breath to movement. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Fingertips down. This time step your left foot back first. Kneel to the ground. Inhale, lift up, pull your rib cage up. Exhale to your high plank. Lower to your knees and soften to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra, lift your heart, squeeze your shoulder blades behind your back. And lift back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale your left foot forward. Kneeling crescent. Exhale, step to the front. Inhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. Exhale, forward fold. Fingertips down, step your right leg back. Keep your toes curled in back of you, arms up. Use your left hand to bring your right wrist up. Exhale, back to high plank. Lower to your knees and all the way to your belly. Inhale, baby cobra, lift. Exhale, up to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, step your right foot forward, bring your knee down, but keep your toes curled. Lift your arms. Use your right hand to pull your left wrist up. Feel that stretch all the way across your left hip. Make sure your left glute is aligned over your left knee. Then step forward. Inhale, Tadasana, mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Step both feet back to a high plank. Come to your knees, lower. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Breathe in and out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step or hop to the top of the mat. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, fold. Fingertips to the mat. Step your right leg back. Pull your spine long. Align your front knee over your front ankle. Engage your right glute. Press your hands down, left leg up and back, down dog kick. Then open your hip, heel to glute. Inhale forward to a high plank and internally rotate your hip. Exhale, down dog, open your hip. Inhale forward to a high plank, bring your knee to your opposite elbow. Exhale, open. Inhale, high plank, knee to opposite elbow. Then place your knee down, place your left hand down, modified side plank. Open to the side of your mat. Allow your left hip to press forward, your right fingertips to reach to the sky. Bring your hands down. Lift your left leg into the sky, bend your knee and lower. Keep that left leg bent and pulse with your hip points pushing down, push your heel to the ceiling. Tiny little pulses, keep your hands right outside your rib cage. Bring both knees down, heels up, and from your knees, find about 10 push-ups. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Keep your hips in line with your shoulders. Keep your core strong. You're working not only your arms, but your strong core and side body. Also think about pulling your head back in line with your shoulders. Exhale, down dog, and walk your hands to the back of your mat. Take a really deep squat so you see a bend or flexion at your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Relax your head. This is a great position to relieve some tension in. Keep your feet on the ground, but lift your heels and pivot to the left. Your left leg should be in front of your right. You're facing the back of your mat. As you fold, it's okay to bend your knees. You should feel a little IT band stretch. Then root through your left foot. Lift your right into a tree pose. You can take it to your inner thigh or to your inner calf. Avoid your knee and look for that alignment once again. Knit your ribs in, pull your navel back, shoulders over your hips. If you fall out of it, just go right back in. Stay strong and steady. Feet down. We're going to come back to the front. Inhale, mountain. Exhale, fold. This time, take your left leg back. Pull your heart forward through your arms. You're on your finger pads. Then your palms go down. Down dog kick, right leg up. Open your knee to the side. Inhale, high plank, knee to opposite elbow. Exhale, down dog, open hip. Inhale, high plank, internally rotate. Exhale, down dog, externally rotate. Inhale, high plank, internally rotate. Place your knee down, come to a modified side plank to the side. Find a nice long stretch through your top leg. Take your right hip and press it forward a bit. Place your left hand down, come to a high plank with your right heel in the sky. Lower, hip points press down, keep your hands where they are, and pulse your heel up toward the ceiling. About 10 pulses. And both knees stay down, heels up. You're going to take those 10 push-ups to the back of your mat. Keep the back of your head in line with your shoulders too. Sometimes that's where we lose our form. Then press back into down dog and walk your hands towards your feet and find that squat. Really sit into the squat. Find the flexion in your hips, your knees, and your ankles. Let your head relax. And lift your heels. Keep your feet on the floor, but turn to your right. So now your right foot is in front of your left. Press into your right leg. Find tree pose with your left leg on your right thigh. Look for your balance. You can see I'm struggling. If you come out of it, come right back in. Press your palms together. Knit your ribs in. Continue to breathe. Your foot on the floor is working overtime here. Both feet together. Inhale, mountain, rinse out. Exhale, forward fold. Take both hands to the ground. Step both feet back to a high plank. Lower to your knees, to your belly. Baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. You're ready for sequence 2. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale, lift your left leg. Look to your back leg and take a couple hops off the ground. Just bend your back knee. You're not kicking your top leg. You're just pushing off your bottom leg. That's optional. Then step your left foot forward and come up to a tall crescent. Take your hands to your hips. You need a little bend in your back knee to align your shoulders over your pelvis. Squeeze your hip points toward one another, your navel back. Launch onto your left leg for warrior 3. You can keep your hands on your hips, but then take your right hand to cup your left knee to remind it to go back and not forward. Then one-legged Tadasana, bring your back leg up in front of you. And exhale, come right back to that warrior 3 with your right hand on cupping your left knee. Move back through these 2 movements. breath to movement. You can see it's really challenging. I'm wiggly. You will be too. Use your breath, concentrate, know how hard your glutes are working, and use your core to stabilize your pelvis. Hold it up and then step to the side, warrior two. Your left knee tracks right over your left toes, your fingertips forward. Your right back leg is on a 45-degree angle. Use your left hand over your right hip as you reach back, and your opposite hand over hip as you reach forward. So come side to side with your arm aligned right over your ear. Feel length and strength in your side body. Keep that bend in your front knee. Stop as you reach forward. Hold it there. Then inhale, star pose. Heels and toes out, big power pose. Exhale, pivot to the back. Bend your right knee. Place your left hand next to your right foot. Use your right hand in your right hip crease and pivot your heart toward the right side of the room. Lift your left hand up, but keep your left leg behind you active and your left glute working. Bring your back knee under your hip and extend your right leg and your right arm toward the sky. Reach your right arm over your ear. And this time we're going to take a couple crunches here. Knee to elbow, hip flexion right in front of your torso. Exhale, touch. Inhale, lengthen. A lot of drilling in this practice. Stretch it out. Then come down to your right forearm, forearm side plank with your left arm up. Lift your hips, pull your core in. Exhale down to both forearms and lower all the way to your belly. Bring your forehead down, your arms to a goalpost position. Inhale. Exhale, lift, pull your elbows back, your heart up. Inhale down, exhale up. Just a few times, press the tops of your feet down as you do this. Then push into high plank and back to down dog. And we're ready to take it on the other side. Take a few breaths, lift your right leg, bend your left leg, look back, find a couple hops if you like, or you can choose to just step your right foot forward right away. Crescent lunge, take your hands back to your hips, bend your back knee, keep your back heel high. I'm going to move myself back on the mat a little bit so I have room to launch forward. Exhale, launch to your front leg. Keep a little bend in that front knee. Then place your left hand on that knee. Inhale, one-legged Tadasana, left leg up. Exhale, hand to right knee, left leg back. Inhale, back to one-legged Tadasana. Move with your breath. If you're moving faster or slower than me, that's completely fine. Stop in your next one-legged Tadasana. Hold it there. And then open out your warrior two to the side. Right knee forward. You can see that back foot is on a 45-degree angle, and I'm checking my alignment in my spine there. My shoulders right over my hips. Left hand to right hip, right arm over your ear, and opposite, back and forth. Just a hip check alignment with your hands on your hips like that. Think more of lifting and going over than just going from side to side. You really want side body length here. Inhale, star, heels and toes out. And pivot back to the front. Right hand goes down next to your left foot. Left hand into your left hip crease. Pivot your torso. Keep your pelvis steady, but your torso moves. Lift your left arm up. Right arm is pressed into the floor. Then bring your back knee under your hip. Your left leg extends back. Right arm up. Modified side plank. Reach your top arm over toward the front. Then exhale, knee to elbow. Exhale, touch. Inhale, extend. Exhale, tap. Inhale, extend. Continue to work through with your breath. Keep your core strong. Hold it open. Then come down to your left forearm and open to a forearm side plank. Right arm up. Your hips are off the ground. Your front arm's on a tiny bit of an angle. Come down to both forearms and lower all the way to your belly. Feel your hip points touch the earth. Press your forearms down. Sphinx pose. Draw your heart forward and traction your elbows back toward your hips. Press your feet down. Lengthen your spine. Bring your forehead down. Push yourself up, high plank. Exhale, down dog. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale, look to the top. Exhale, step or hop, top of your mat. Inhale, Tadasana. Exhale, hands back on your hips. A lot of focus on your hips today, right? We're going to squat to the left and bring that leg up. On this first time, I'm touching my hand toward the floor. That's an option. A lot of different options here. Also an option to take a little hop with it. You do what feels right for you, where you can balance, a place that challenges you, but allows you to move with a little bit of ease. If you are hopping, come back to a steady hold at the top. Take your right hand on the outside of your right knee. Take your left arm back for an open arm twist. Here's our ultimate balance challenge here next. Half moon. Take your right hand toward the floor, your left leg back. Your left arm up. You can see I'm a little shaky doing it too. It's a hard pose. You can float your hand off the floor. You can place your hand on your block if you like. Push your heel to the back and then traction between your heel and your tailbone a little bit. Exhale, land in a horse pose, or star pose actually, and then come down to a horse. Heels in, toes out, and then pivot your knee, extend your foot behind you, and punch with the arm of the leg that's behind you. Take it a little faster, find a little energy, little cardio work here. Your pelvis is staying stable and your thoracic spine is finding a lot of movement. Then come back to your horse pose. Place your hands on your thighs, rotate your left ribs towards your right knee. Come back to a long spine and rotate your right ribs towards your left knee. You can do it a couple times. Come back to horse and then reverse. Take your front arm over the top, left arm to your thigh, and exhale, low lunge. Come back to a high plank. Lower all the way down. Baby cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Take a breath, regroup. Inhale, look forward. Bend your knees, lift your heels. Exhale, step or hop, top of your mat. Inhale, Tadasana, mountain pose. Hands to your hips. And we're going to go to the right and lift. Take the squat and lift. You can see I'm choosing to lift my arm on this side too. Just another variation. Hopping was another variation you can choose. Good for that vertical jump, right? Then begin to slow it down a little bit and steady that one-legged Tadasana. Take your left hand to the outside of your right knee, your right arm back. Keep your spine straight and twist your torso to the side of the room. We're going to move in again to a half moon. So once you're steady, your left arm toward the floor, your right arm up. Push your right heel. Your foot is flexed to the back. I'm a little steadier on this side than I was on the other. You'll notice differences between your sides too. Hold it as long as you can and don't stop breathing. And come into your star and horse. And again, your opposite knee and punch. Extend the opposite leg back. Make sure you're on a little bit of an angle here. Keep your knees safe by tracking them right over your foot. Build a little energy. Try not to take your shoulders too far forward over your hips as you're punching. Keep that alignment. Then come back to horse pose. Place your hands, palms together at heart center, and press them as you exhale to the front and to the back. Your elbows should be approximately shoulder height. You're keeping your pelvis stable and twisting through your thoracic spine. Then reach your left arm over the top, reverse. Exhale, low lunge to a high plank. Lower all the way down. Bring your knees up and grab for your feet or your ankles. Exhale, bow pose. Lift your heart and lift your thighs off the ground. Squeeze your knees together and release. Back to high plank. Take your left leg, slide it to the right side of your mat, and lift your right arm up. Fallen triangle. Then take your right hand down, pivot to the other side of your body for a tall side plank. Exhale back to your high plank and come down to your knees. Take a seat. Bring your feet to the floor for figure 4. Take your left ankle over your right thigh. Scoot your hips a little closer to your front heel. That'll intensify the pose. But if that causes your back to round, then scoot back. You want a nice, strong, straight spine. Your hands are right behind your hips. You can see I rounded and straightened my back there. Flex your foot, that's across your thigh. Take a couple breaths. Feel the opening in your hip. And place your feet on the floor. Walk yourself back to a plank, lower, and find a locust pose. Pull your fingertips back to your heels, lift your toes off the ground, feel your back core engage, and push back into a high plank. And take your right leg this time to the left side of your mat. Fallen triangle. And take your left hand down and your right arm up, side plank to the other side. Bring both hands back to a plank, come to your knees. Find a seat. This time it's your right ankle over your left thigh. Scoot your hips toward your front heel. Push your knee forward, your top knee, and bring your heart toward that horizontal leg. Keep your spine strong. Keep your breath full. Scoot yourself toward the front of your mat. Bring your fingertips forward and roll yourself with control onto your spine. Take your hands to the floor. Align your heels under your knees. Exhale, push your hips up. You can clasp your hands under your hips and roll your shoulders under a bit for bridge pose. Your hip points are pressing toward the ceiling. Draw them in toward one another. Pull your spine nice and long. Look straight up. And lower your hips down. Take your feet out wide. Drop your knees to touch. Broken bridge. Little bit of a release for your lower back. Draw your knees into your chest. Rock up and down your mat till you come to a seated staff pose. Wiggle your hips a bit so you can really feel your sitting bones on the ground. Lift your arms. Toes are tracking toward your face. Reach as far forward on your leg as you can without bending your back. Keep your spine long. Your lower lumbar spine is stretching. It's about reaching your heart to your toes, not your heart to your shins. You can lower all the way back onto your back. I'm coming sideways, but you can stay long on your back. Take a happy baby pose by pressing the soles of your feet toward the ceiling, wrapping around the back of your knees and clasping your hands. As you rock side to side, you should feel your spine connect back to the earth. And draw both knees in. Extend your right leg long. Pull your knee to the outside of your rib cage. Then guide it to the right side of your body. You can keep your right hand on your left thigh. Extend your left leg long. Look straight up. Pull your tailbone towards your right heel. Feel your spine decompress. Bring your knees back in. This time extend your left leg long. Bring your right leg to the outside of your right rib cage and guide it across to the left side of your body. Right arm extends either to a T or a goalpost. You can let your left hand stay on your thigh. You don't need your knee touching the ground. Actually, I don't recommend it. Pull your tailbone toward your extended leg. Anchor your shoulders to the ground. Continue to breathe. Bring both knees to your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins. Squeeze everything in tight. Bring your forehead up to your knees. Ball pose. Compress and constrict all your muscles. Then exhale, final Shavasana. Make your body long. Let your feet fall out wide. Release your shoulders down. As you flip your palms up, sometimes that becomes a little more natural. Take long, deep breaths here. After practice like this, you should allow yourself to stay in Shavasana for at least 5 minutes.
I'll rise like the day